I'm going to start. Lonnie, did you have anything to say before I take off with you guys?
No, go right ahead.
Okay. Are you sitting like in the bathroom? Because it sounds like it.
No,
He's sitting right next to me.
Okay. I just want to make sure, because if I start talking and I hear, I'm just going to hang up.
Monty would hang up on that too. But he really would. He'd be like, "Oh Lord, I'm getting out of here. Bye."
All right. So I'm going to start today off. I have 4 scriptures I want to shoot at you guys.
Okay.
And just to hammer in or keep in the forefront what we're doing as, I know I say parents, and that's really what you guys are, even to Hayden. So we are going to start with 4 of them, and I can read them, but if you want to pull them up, you can. Do you guys want me just to read them? Do you want to pull them up? How do you want to do it?
If you want to read them, I'm gonna actually like take notes and stick it in our little
Okay.
thing that we do for each other every week.
All right. Okay. So now, and most of these are going to be familiar, but these are actually parenting verses.
Okay.
And so when I read these to you, you're going to recognize them. Excuse me. But one thing I've learned, the more you hear a verse or a popular scripture, the more we overlook it.
I can see how that can be the case. Definitely.
Yep. Well, and not only that, that's just like marriage. The more you're with your spouse, the more you take them for granted, the less valuable they are to you until they're gone.
Yep.
So I have an ear itch. Hold on.
Yep.
Somebody must be talking about me. So that's why, like, as I'm writing this devotional, we've talked about it, judge not lest you be judged. Nobody thinks about that verse. It's just one of those popular verses. It's become misinterpreted, and that's causing issues. So
Yep.
that's why
Everyone just says you're a Christian, you're not supposed to judge anyone. No.
That's right. That's absolutely incorrect. So you'll see that in the book. I actually wrote that in there. So the first one is super popular, Proverbs 13:24, and it says this, but I'm going to kind of elaborate just a little bit. Whoever spares the rod hates the son, but he who loves him is diligent to discipline him. What is the one word I just said that may stick out to you guys?
Diligent is what Lonnie said. Can you
Okay.
repeat it though? It says, whoever
Absolutely.
spares the rod hates the son, and what was the last part again? I forgot.
Okay. Whoever spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is diligent to discipline him. And Lonnie's correct, diligence. This, to me, well, I'm not gonna teach anything. You guys are gonna teach me. What does that verse tell you guys?
It means if you want to, be a great parent, then you have to be consistent with the discipline.
Mm-hmm. So disciplining today and not tomorrow, and then not on Saturday and then on Sunday is not diligence.
Right, and it's your duty to do so.
Lonnie, can you get a little closer to the phone so I can hear you better?
I said it's your duty to do so. That's where the diligence comes from.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And the Bible says that we love our children if we discipline them. And I did not put this verse down, but the Bible actually says God disciplines those he loves. So
Yep.
essentially, we're lining up with the way God does things when we discipline our children. And of course, I want to talk a little bit about that here in just a minute. So the next scripture is Proverbs 22, verse 6. And here's what that one says. Train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. Feedback on that one before I elaborate.
It's important to instill the faith from a young age so that they are very familiar with it and they don't stray from it when they get older.
Okay, good. Lonnie, what you got?
Plant the seed so that it will continue to prosper as they're older.
Okay, you kind of broke up a little bit on me, I think.
I said plant the seed when they're young so that they continue to prosper in that in their adulthood.
Okay, good. So essentially what you guys are talking about, instilling faith. It's really what you're both saying, planting the seeds. So when, and then they'll grow into it. And that's right. Exactly right. But there's another aspect of it we overlook because that's what we all think. Now, Jamie, I'll have to be honest. When I was looking up some of this stuff, I couldn't help but think of you in this verse.
Uh-huh.
Train up a child in the way they should go. Let them fix their own dang lunch.
Uh-huh.
And when they are old, they'll fix their own dang lunch and not expect somebody else to do it. See, sometimes we get so spiritual, we overlook the practicality of the verse.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. So yeah, it's not just about the faith, but also just in, teach them to fish so they can feed themselves instead of just giving them one meal with that fish that you caught for them. Yeah, I get that.
Or making them go back into McDonald's and get their order correct.
Exactly.
or stop the Bobbies and Jeremys from being born in this world.
My little brothers.
As you can tell, training a child is more than faith. That is the ultimate goal. But practically, train them. Like, teach a kid to tie a shoe. Then start letting him tie his own shoe. And if he can't get it, then you're there to say, look, here's what you did wrong, and here's how you do it. Until they get it right. Once they get it right, stop tying their shoes.
Yep.
Let them do it. Now that, supper time, Jamie's making supper for the whole family. You don't expect the kids to have to do it. It's not what we're talking about, obviously. Sometimes we lose common sense. What I'm talking about is the example of making him go back into the restaurant and not moving until he did. That's training your child.
Yes.
That's awesome. So
Thank you.
something I wanted to bring up. So, but then, okay, so now we're training a child, we're disciplining them. The next two verses say the same thing just about, but it is a path we have to make sure we don't go down. Because I know I've been a dad and I have lost my temper. But what's the difference? What am I saying? Well, let's go to this verse here. Ephesians 6, verse 4. Now, this is right after verse 1, obviously, that says, children, obey your parents. This is what Ephesians 6 says. But then when you get to verse 4, we miss this. It says fathers, but it means parents too. Do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. So that makes you have to think a little bit. What do we do that provokes our children versus disciplines our children? You guys have any comments before I start exposing the Greek?
Do you, honey? Nope.
Nope. Okay. Bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. Okay, so what do you guys take from that second half of the verse?
For me, it's kind of focusing on, it's like, make sure you're doing your disciplining in a godly way, which, is usually loving, patient, but also stern.
Okay. Lonnie, you agree with that? Disagree with that? What do you got?
I agree with it.
Okay. I think you're spot on. Now, remember this. Jesus wasn't always gentle. He threw over tables. And if I understand it correctly, again, I haven't studied it. I don't like to speak absolutes when I haven't studied it myself. The way I understand it, he sat outside that temple before he went in, putting a whip together. So I can only imagine the anger was starting to boil over. And when he walked in there, they let him have it. Or he let him have it. Okay? Now, I'm not saying go get a whip and beat your boys to death. That's not what I'm saying. But it was harsh correction. So there's correction there, and he was technically disciplining them. provocation is a little different. And I'm going to tell you guys what provoking means. So, and the reason, one of the reasons I'm bringing this up is because I know the struggles you're dealing with. So discipline, I am encouraging you guys and trying to strengthen the fact that it takes diligent discipline because you love Hayden and you love Tristan. It also means you're training them, you're teaching boundaries. But then we don't want to go too far because you're starting to defeat your purpose at this point. And because that's Ephesians 6:4. I like the next time this is said in Colossians 3 and it's verse 21. Fathers or parents, do not embitter your children or they will become discouraged. So there is an element of discipline that we have to incorporate encouragement into. Right? You guys catch what that's saying there? Okay. Now let's go back to see what the word provoke means. It means arousing someone to anger or provoking someone or pushing their buttons. And part of that Greek word is a compound word, like I do sometimes. Part of the word means close beside. The other part is be angry, meaning you're right, like in proximity. You're near them and pushing their buttons. You're provoking them, and that will discourage them. It will embitter them. There's another verse that uses the word embitter, but it's not the same Greek word, I don't believe. You know what? I need to look that up. That's fascinating if it is. Husbands, love your wives and do not make them bitter. Do not be harsh with them. Those are the translations. And the word actually means to make them bitter. So then you go to Ephesians, and it's in the same chapter. It's actually two verses before verse 21. I wish I would have looked that up now that I think about it. I wonder if that's the same Greek word where it says, do not embitter your children to anger. Do not shoot. Let me get this right. Do not embitter your children or they will become discouraged. So discipline is mandated by God, but not to the point where they are discouraged because of it. Now, if they're discouraged because they keep getting in trouble because of their own choices, that's not what this is talking about. So let's go up here again. Those, you love your children, Hayden, Tristan, because you discipline your children. Diligently discipline. If today's punishment for riding the late bus when he was supposed to ride the early bus is 24 hours without your cell phone, then he does it 2 days later and it's only a 2-hour discipline. That's not diligent. That's wishy-washy. Unless there's been some type of a structure or you don't discipline at all. That's wishy-washy. It confuses that. That's why I get frustrated with parents and their empty threats. That is one of the worst things you can do as a parent. If you do that one more time, you're going to go sit in that corner for 30 minutes. Then they go do it. I said to stop it, but then they don't go to the corner.
I know that annoys me too.
Yes, you just weakened your stance. You weakened your authority. And your kid's confused because the next time you discipline them, they're like, wait a minute, you didn't do it last time. That only hurts the kid. Because now they're confused.
Them confused and unstable. Like they can't really trust what you're saying, and you're all over the place. You're not reliable.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, they don't know what to actually expect from you, and they should always know what to expect from you.
No, I think, I'm sorry, but I disagree. I think they know exactly what to expect from you, and it's in their favor.
But when you suddenly do discipline them out of nowhere in those situations, that definitely does more harm than good at that point. You're making them feel confused and like they're just not even sure. Like, oh, well, I did that last week and she didn't even care. And now this week she's grounded me for a month, or she's doing this, and or she slapped me today or whatever. And last week it didn't even matter. Like, I'm so confused. What am I supposed to do here?
Well, I think what you're both saying is actually accurate pending the age. You know, a 3-year-old, you're training them what Jamie's saying. As a teenager, like you guys are dealing with, Lonnie's probably accurate as well. Not here to dissect it,
Mm-hmm.
but as a
Gotcha,
whole,
yeah.
like you're talking, Jamie, you've lost the respect, you've lost the authority when you back off some and you're diligent some, because we'll just use Tristan as an example. If he knows there are times he's not going to get punished, he's probably going to be willing to take the chance. Versus you guys together being diligent, knowing if he does something, he's going to get it.
Mhm.
So that, I think honestly, we're splitting hairs with that. So it's really not important as far as the psychology of it. But the hard cold fact is this: if they're young, you know, 3, 4, 5 years old, and you're giving empty promise or empty threats, that's confusing to a kid. And then eventually they know what to expect. Well, no, because they don't know if they're going to expect to get away with it or expect to get disciplined. They're still confused. But
Right.
you're enabling. I read an article one time that had a great statement in it. It said parents are hardwired to be enablers. I thought, what a statement. And that is so true, because we love our kids.
It is, absolutely.
And that's why it's important, like you're going to see in the book, to align ourselves with God's word versus our feelings. That is so hard to do because we love our kids. We don't like seeing our kids in pain because of the red marks across the butt cheeks. But right there,
Yeah.
it says, if we love them, we will discipline them, spoil the rod. I mean, spare the rod, spoil the child. You know, the rod that it's talking about there is actually a steel rod. Beat the crap out of people.
See, what I read is that it's actually not a rod to hit, it's a rod to steer, like herding sheep as a shepherd would.
I'll have to go back and look it up. I looked it up one time because I saw a heavy debate on Facebook. And they were like, that's not that, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, here's what the Hebrew word is for rod. And it's been a couple of years, so I'm not going to say you're wrong because I don't know that. I might be wrong. All I know is that I got the leather across the hiney many times.
I mean, I've spectated with a belt a couple times, you know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep.
That's
Yep.
something that, you know, I'm not totally, but every time I was completely composed. It wasn't out of anger.
There
It
you go.
was a conversation was had
Yep.
and he knew
Yep.
what to expect, and, you know, and he had been warned several times. So I feel, you know, good about how it went down.
Yeah,
So
good. All right. So those are 4 scriptures I wanted to start today off with. I was going to wait until the end. I thought, no, if I wait till the end, we won't get to them. Because what my goal was to talk about some stuff, whatever you wanted to talk about, then bring these scriptures out and say, okay, did you all, in your reaction to whatever might be, did you guys line up with these scriptures? We can still do it in reverse. That was kind of my goal, but that's why I wanted to bring it up first, because I had a feeling if we get talking, it's a no-go.
right.
I'm good at that. So, Lonnie, are you okay, or did you drink some Benadryl?
No, I'm good.
He seems out there today.
Extra quiet today.
Jamie, let's take a break.
What's on your mind, Bonnie? Is there anything that you want to chat about today?
Nothing in particular, no.
Well, I think we need to take a break. Jamie, go make him a sandwich.
Sandwich, exactly. With
This ain't your way. This ain't Burger King. You get back here and make your own sandwich, bro, or bra, or whatever it is.
That was a fun night.
Oh my gosh, I got off of that call, like, and that was awesome. I miss it.
Me too. I'm glad we're doing it.
Yeah. So, all right. Any takeaways? Anything that stuck out? Anything at all from those 4 scriptures that maybe?
I think it's really obvious for me and Lonnie, like, which parts of what we both have to work on, you know? We both have to make sure we're being consistent with, don't you, Lonnie?
Yeah, I feel like, what stands out is exactly what you just said. There are certain things that each one of us needs to do because we have our strengths and we have our weaknesses. But I think overall, it needs to be something that we eventually get 100% on the same page with. We have to get on the same page to the point where there's no confusion between the two of us as to what one already said or what one already did, or if you do find yourself where you're the only parent here and you do what you think is best, and you're following all the guidelines, you're not being discouraging to them, you're not, just letting them get away with something.
Mm-hmm.
For the other one to come in and switch it all up, and who benefits or what happens in the aftermath where we're at odds, that stuff's got to stop.
Okay. So let's talk about that. Let's come up with a plan. Let's come up with some type of a solution and a plan that puts you guys on the same page. So I like, in this situation, let's talk about the hardest one first. And that sounded to me like, and now remember, this is your session. I'm just here to help.
Mhm.
It sounds to me like the most difficult scenario is a parent being home, another one not being home, something happens, and then maybe something gets done without the other's knowledge, or they come in blindsided, which we actually addressed last week. Remember, I said, send a text and say, hey, this has happened already today, and I want you to know so you're not blindsided when you get here. So let's talk about that. Let's pick a scenario where that actually happened.
Mhm.
We don't have to go into details, just give a basic scenario when somebody was home, somebody wasn't, there was a miscommunication, and it caused you guys to be at odds with each other. Ow, shoot. Sorry.
You are.
Ow.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I've got a place on my thumb that's super sensitive, and my fingernail just hit it, and sorry.
Oh.
Sorry about the language. Shoot.
You're all right.
That's okay.
That's about as bad you're gonna hear come out of my mouth. So, so this just like I said, we don't have to get into the details of the scenario. Just a basic what happened, and we'll go from there.
We could just simply just even do like an example of, I told Hayden he could go to the gym after school and didn't communicate that with Lonnie, and then I went to work.
Okay.
We'll just not even that even happened, but just say that happened.
Okay. So let's dig down on what kind of problems that can cause. Okay, so
Lonnie's expecting Hayden's going to come home. He doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
He's worried about Hayden. He can't get a hold of me at work.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's not sure, should Hayden be in trouble? Should I be worried about where he is? Does Jamie know where he is? What is going on?
Mm-hmm. Now this is a simple one. You've thrown us a softball, Jamie. Thank you.
Yep.
So what's the action that should be, or what kind of an action could you take to ensure that scenario doesn't turn bad? It's pretty simple.
Just simply literally, sending a little text or whatever saying, hey, just want to let you know that I told Hayden he could go to the gym after school. He will not be getting home off the early bus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or is there anything that you would rather him do, or be asking Lonnie or coming up with a choice, making that decision together rather than just doing it on my own?
There you go. There you go. Because if Lonnie doesn't communicate about something that happened that you don't know about, and you give Hayden permission, think about that scenario and the tangled web we have now.
Yeah.
Lonnie's mad at Hayden for not cleaning up the dog poop, but Lonnie got distracted because of something else. And in the meantime, you're giving Hayden permission to go to the gym after school. And there's no way Lonnie's going to let that happen. We have us a problem.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Communication is a big time thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
kind of like another example of that is just what we literally just went through. I came home from work and Lonnie was gone. And I asked Hayden to make sure he cleans the kitchen because he was cooking and stuff. And I said, you need to clean up after yourself. And he said, okay, but I have to rearrange the linen closet. Uncle Lonnie said I need to get it done before he comes home. So I'm nervous I won't be able to get it all done. And I said, oh, okay, well, there's a whole bunch of stuff in there that I want to get rid of. So if you want to clean the kitchen right now, and then either tonight we can do that together or tomorrow, I will clean out what I don't want and then you can rearrange what's left in there. So when I talked to Lonnie a little while later, he got really, really upset with me because he felt like I undermined him telling Hayden to do something. And I wasn't aware that the actual context was that Hayden took some blankets and stuff out of that cupboard, out of the linen closet, and literally like had a snail trail all through the upstairs, and just like he left the door open and pulled down a whole bunch of stuff trying to get the particular blanket that he wanted, and he just like messed the whole thing up. So Lonnie was irritated and was like, dude, this isn't how we do things, blah blah blah. Well, Hayden didn't present it to me like that. He just said Lonnie wants me to rearrange the linen closet. I didn't realize it was like a learning, like a consequence thing. I just thought he just wants him to, organize the linen closet better. So it was like,
Okay.
I didn't mean to step on his toes in any way, but he was really upset.
Yeah, okay. Actually, that's kind of the scenario we just talked about. So excuse me. Huh? Oh, thank you. Oh, okay. So let's rewind and talk about how we could have handled that in a way that would prevented that very scenario.
What do you think, Lon?
Well, I probably could have texted you and let you know that I gave Hayden that instruction. I probably could have definitely done that. I happened to been in a hurry, and then 9 times out of 10, I either can't get a hold of you or you don't see your messages until you actually check your phone. So, provided that would have worked, that could have helped out. Or if knowing that Hayden told you that I asked him to do that, you already know at my job you can call me and I can talk to you and you can, discuss it with me. Or when you explain to me what you told Hayden or what you knew or what you didn't know, instead of, because what happened was I asked her, how is it coming along with the closet? And she was like, well, I told him not to worry about that right now because I need to get rid of a whole bunch of stuff. And I left it at that, and that's what actually irritated me.
And I also didn't put in there that also what I did say too to Hayden was, okay, well, buddy, Uncle Lonnie leaves for work at 2:00. It's now 8:30 when I got home from work. Why is it not done yet? I did say that. Okay. I was like, what have you been doing for 6 hours?
Yeah.
If Uncle Lonnie asked you to do something, you have plenty of time to do it. And
that was my question. Yeah. That was exactly my next question. But here's the thing, something so simple of communicating could have solved this whole entire thing. And here's the deal though, guys. And I admire you guys for this very reason. Technically, you guys shouldn't have to communicate with each other like this. You're just in such a unique position.
I know.
You guys are having to take extra steps because the enemy will use these types of things to divide you. If we can come up
seriously all the time.
Absolutely.
It happens to us all the time. Yeah.
That's right. So that's why I'm wanting to deal with this today. You guys know I pray about these sessions, right? And let God lead. So I feel like this is what we need to talk about today. You guys have got to, beyond everything, get on the same page. And that's exactly what Lonnie said. Get on the same page 100%. So in this scenario, well, my next question was, Lonnie, what time did that happen with the linens? And when did you tell Hayden and where was he?
I'm not exactly sure if he had done it the night before and got the blankets, or if he did it that morning, since I work now so late in the afternoon.
Mhm.
But I had gone upstairs to find out if the dogs had been out, which they hadn't, and he'd already been up. He was now in the kitchen cooking, actually doing something that I asked him not to do without permission or whatever, because we're trying to crack down on, you know, him learning to clean up after himself. Since he was so rude to me the last time, I said, okay, well, this is how we're gonna do this. So he's just standing in the kitchen cooking, hasn't even bothered to do anything with the dogs, so I didn't say anything to him. I went up to check on the dogs and found that whole scenario upstairs, right outside his room, all the way
Okay.
through his.
And what time was this, Lonnie?
This was probably around 10 o'clock in the morning, 11
In the
o'clock
morning.
the morning.
Okay, so, okay.
And I asked him, you know, I explained to him that that's not how it should be, and I would appreciate it if he rearranged that closet, since he was the one that messed it up before several times after I completely arranged it. And he said, okay. Well, then between then and when I left at 2 o'clock, so let's give him the amnesty that it was 11, 12, 1, 2, that's 3 hours, and he still hadn't even attempted. And Tristan was in his new room trying to straighten it up with his friend who had stayed the night, and Hayden's literally just standing in there doing nothing to help. And I asked him, Hayden, you know, I gotta need to go to work soon. I asked him to clean that closet, and he was like, yeah, well, I was gonna do it later. And I said, well, you have nothing else to do, could you please do it now?
Okay.
Well, I'm helping Tristan. I said, okay, well, we both know how your help is and what you're doing at this moment. And that's not what I asked you to do. I asked you to rearrange that closet. All right, fine. So now that's at 2 o'clock. I reminded him again and told him, when I get home from work, it needs to be done. Well, when Jamie got home, he still hadn't even touched it.
Okay,
And
so,
his for her for not doing the kitchen that she asked him to do
yeah,
at that was, well, Uncle Lonnie asked me to do that, and I've been helping Tristan home.
okay. I have several thoughts running through my mind, but I'm going to try to get you guys to answer what's going through my mind. This is read the coach's mind. Dun, da, 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 da. Where's my game show theme? What do you think, Lonnie? What kind of an I know what I'm trying to ask. I don't want to give away the answer that I have. Are there any scenarios running through your mind in your approach to Hayden that would have prevented that scenario from happening like it did?
Is there anything I could have said to him when I requested what I wanted him to do?
Initially, yes. How could you have approached him maybe differently?
This is where I need you to tell me, because
Okay.
I don't.
I'll be happy to tell you.
Okay.
Hayden, you know that's not how we do things around here. You made a mess. Before you do anything else, I need you to pick it up and get it cleaned up right now. Now he knows immediately it's got to be done. Now, our next question is, he waited so long to do it. I don't know that, because see what happens in that scenario, Lonnie, is you've said, I'd appreciate it. You don't have to be a jerk, which doesn't sound like you were whatsoever. I'm just making that as a general statement. You don't have to be a jerk about, hey, Hayden, man, you got that out of the closet and made a mess. Before you do anything else, I need you to get that cleaned up. That's all it needs to be said. If he does it, now you've got the ammunition to pull his cell phone back away or take 2 hours away from the day, whatever you guys are right now, and discipline because he didn't do what he was told versus get that cleaned up. In his mind, he's got all kinds of room. All I have to do is get it up and put together by midnight when Lonnie gets home. Is that making
Right.
sense?
Yeah.
Because that's the way a kid thinks. As long as you know how I know? I was that kid. Mom and dad, make sure this living room is vacuumed today. Okay. They get home at 5:30. I start vacuuming at 5:28.
That was Jamie.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't me. Yeah,
So-
actually, my brothers are hilarious. The super quick story. My brother Jeremy used to say, "All right, mom asked me to vacuum this morning. That means I have 2 days until she flips shit." That's what he used to-
Now-
and I used to be like, "Oh my gosh, that's just awful." And he meant it too. He's like, "I know
Yeah.
you're right." That's what he did.
Well, there's another aspect that I feel that you guys can really improve on.
Okay.
Now this is me advising, counseling, okay?
Yes.
Consulting, whatever you want to call it. 100% up to you guys. I feel from listening to what you guys are saying, you guys spend a lot of wasted energy trying to rationalize and negotiate and deal with it. In my mind, what I say, when I say get these linens cleaned up and do it before you do anything, well, I've got it. Not. What did I say? But I was going to help. Hey, I was going to help Trish. What did I say? None of this negotiating, none of this back and forth. And I would love to see you guys gradually, instead of letting Hayden continue to respond with excuse after excuse after excuse, get it to the point where he knows excuses won't fly. What do you think?
Right. That's John, that is me in a nutshell. But that's perceived in my home as not giving them a voice, not allowing them to speak their mind and all this other stuff.
Well, there's a difference between speaking your mind and saying, well, I cleaned up the kitchen 2 days in a row and Tristan hasn't had to do it yet. I don't really think that's fair. That's allowing them to speak their mind. But when you have given a command to clean up the linen closet that's strung out all the way across the floor, you don't get to speak your mind. You get to do what you're told. Two different scenarios.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I think it's hard to differentiate. I'm glad that you put it that way because I have a couple questions about that.
Mhm.
It's how do we specifically work on differentiating between when it's appropriate for them to speak their mind and when it's not? And what does like how do we decide what's discouraging and what's not discouraging?
Oh, it's a loaded question.
Right.
The first scenario.
It's definitely one that we struggle with. It's something that we definitely, because Lonnie will feel he's just, it's our natural roles. I'm the nurture. He's a little bit more, you know exactly what I'm saying. So in that instant,
This
a
is
lot
what,
of times
I'm sorry.
he'll just be like, Jamie, no, I don't care about his feelings right now or whatever the case is. This is this and that's it. And there are some instances where I don't feel that that's the appropriate reaction.
Okay.
That I do think it's important that we allow him to talk or listen or whatever.
Yeah, I think anything that warrants an explanation for understanding is where you let them have the voice. Okay, here's an example in my own home years ago. My dog, I used to take all of my kids' phones away at 9:00 p.m. Turn in your phones, plug them up in my room, and you don't get your phones after 9 p.m. That's just it. My daughter said, I just don't think that's fair. And this is after doing it for a while. And I said, why don't you think that's fair? Because you're invading our privacy. I said, okay, why else is it not fair? Blah, and they say that. I said, okay. I gave her a voice to tell me why she didn't think it was fair. Then I explained, well, your bedtime's at 10 o'clock. At 9 o'clock, you put your phones up because if you have your phone You're going to delay getting your teeth brushed. You're going to delay getting your stuff for school tomorrow. You're going to delay getting to bed. Next thing you know, it's 10:30, 9
Mhm.
o'clock. You're putting it up. You're not distracted. So you can be in bed by 9:30, 9:45 and asleep by 10. And I swear she said, well, that makes sense.
You're-
And I
you-
said,
You got lucky in life.
Tristan
Well,
would do that. Not
and-
Hayden though.
well, and she did. She said, that makes sense. And then she said, well, that's an invasion of my privacy. I said, okay, you get two choices then. I either get your phone or I'll just cancel your subscription because I pay for it. What's your pleasure?
Mhm.
She said,
That
I'll
is-
keep the phone.
That is the truth.
That's not discouraging. I agree with you 100 on that. I'm perfectly okay with that. Perfectly okay with
But here's the
I'm
thing
not okay
though.
with is like you never clean up after yourself, Hayden. You never ever wash the counter. You never do. You're not responsible. You're lazy. You're that. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. I feel like just address what is actually happening right now.
Yeah, I can get on board
I
with
like
that. I can definitely get on. Now there are times, okay? Remember this. This is where discernment has to take place. Let's go to the scriptures. Now, these weren't Jesus's children. These were the religious folks. But he said, you guys are whitewashed tombs. You guys are vipers. Called them snakes. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
was he saying that to wake them up to who they really were? Or was he using that to insult them? Well, we know he was using that to wake them up and to warn other people about their behaviors. Okay.
Mhm.
So there is a fine line. I would say you can make those points without wording it like you just did, Jamie, instead of you're lazy. You never using absolutes. Never, always, you never. That's rarely ever the case. So we have to avoid these what they call those superlatives.
Mhm.
And you never and you always, and like people saying I always fail. That's not true at all. You never agree with me. That's not true. Actually, what you could say at that point is, oh, I agree. Well, I just screwed that statement up. I'm sorry, that was a little humor. But you have to be careful and discern, is what you're coming out of your mouth an insult, or is it in some way trying to help? Like I have told somebody one time, I said, you are selfish. I didn't use it as an insult. I used it in a way that would get them to see that their behavior was selfish. Everything
Mhm.
revolved around them. They didn't think they were being selfish at all. I've told one person, you're a narcissist. Everything revolves around you. I'm not saying it as an insult. I'm saying it as a look, you have got to correct this. Now, to a kid, that was an adult I was dealing with.
Uh-huh.
But to a kid, do not provoke your kids to embitterment and anger and discouragement. Saying that to a kid is going to have a lot different effect than it does on an adult. So there's another aspect of knowing what's appropriate and what's not. I would, my response in a nutshell would be try to make a point, try to be encouraging. As an example, let's use the you're lazy. Okay. Hayden, there are times you do so well. And then there are times like this where you just kind of overlook it. I would appreciate it if you would be mindful of the fact that you just left a mess. You know, I believe in you. I know you know better. So I actually expect you to pick up after yourself because you're a smart kid. You just pretty much said you know better without,
Right.
you didn't call him lazy, but you gave him some confidence in that. Did he just say he believed in me?
Right, and then in the same breath, if you feel it's necessary, you can even take it a step further and say, and Hayden, because I know that you are capable, if you don't, buddy, then I know you're making the choice just not to, and you're gonna get a consequence.
Yeah.
And you know,
Yeah, I
Another way, Hayden, stop being lazy. That's not you, man. Pick that stuff up before you do anything else. You know,
I-
stop being lazy is different than saying you're lazy.
right.
I totally understand that, and I know for a fact that I need a lot of practice in that. It's not an excuse. I was never, ever talked to like that as a kid. That is certainly not any type of way that parenting happened. My, however you want to call it, era, upbringing, whatever. However, I'm a person that observes a lot.
Mhm.
And that's exactly how Jamie has been with these kids since I met her or been with her. And I honestly, at 14 and 15 years old, I don't see much difference.
Okay, let me stop you there, Lonnie. Let me stop you right there and give you some feedback, because what we just talked about in itself is not going to work by itself. That's why I said I would prefer to see you guys move toward the non-negotiable. I said, get this put up before you do anything else. If they don't even let that make you mad. Just send out a discipline. Period. All right,
Right.
give me your phone. No sweat off. And now you're still going to clean up the towels. But now I've got your phone too. And if you start, and it might have to be a gradual process, because I agree, Lonnie, it doesn't work alone. Parenting is a big deal. It's complex. You guys are in a very unique situation. But Hayden's self-esteem and confidence level is really low. So that adds another layer to both of you, that you have to navigate this whole scenario differently than I ever had to.
It's
So
all about balance, and that's very difficult.
about what?
Balance.
That's right. That is spot on accurate. So Lonnie, do you think, let's replay this whole scenario with the linens, okay? We've already established that it would have probably been a good idea to text Jamie to let her know what's up. But let's just go with you by yourself. Hayden, you don't even have to give the whole, they call it a soft intro, a soft, like a soft intro is what it's called. You don't have to go through all that. I know you're not lazy, but in my mind, it's perfectly legit to say, Hayden, you know better than that. Before you do anything else, I want that stuff picked up and put in the towel closet the way you found it before you opened that door. You have laid the boundaries down. You're not like that. We're not like that. Before you do anything else is the timeline. So that's an immediate, you have to do it now because you can't do anything else first. And if he doesn't, don't get mad. Just take his phone or cancel his friends coming over that evening or something that wakes him up. And here's the thing that you're doing, because remember when I said empty threats?
Yep.
Well, if there's an inconsistency to where you're going back and forth with the 14, 15-year-old, they're going to continue that too. And then things get muddy. It gets watered down. Well, I was helping Tristan. Well, I told you before you did anything else. So why are you helping Tristan? It was black and white, no pun intended. I love me a sandwich. That's my new favorite word, by the way, sandwich. Where Lonnie's authority is being assessed without rah. It's just calmly walking up. What, Lonnie?
With diligence, like you were talking about earlier.
That's it. That's it. You know what? You can have a family meeting tonight and say, look, guys, here's the deal. we're reformatting the way we do things. We're going to tell you guys one time to do something. Unless we qualify it with a time frame, when we give the order, command, however you want to word it, it's to be done immediately before anything else. If we say, Tristan, take the dogs out, that means then and there, go take the dogs out. If you want to debate it and argue about it or try to get around it, we're just going to automatically start taking things away as discipline, and you have to earn those things back. Lay it down now. And then when the scenarios come up, reinforce it with, Hayden, before you do anything else, I need you to get those towels picked up. You know that's not the way we do things around here.
I say perfect. Alleviate the loopholes.
Yeah, loopholes are something that have been driving Monty crazy for years, so that is a good plan. Just to have no, and then, we ask you to, I have no problem. I tell the boys all the time, okay, you know what? You can be upset about this, but right now you're going to be okay, and you're going to act okay, and you're going to go do it. And then you can come back and have a conversation with me if you want to about why you felt it wasn't fair. And we can talk about it for next time. Oh,
Okay.
Trist jumps all over that. Fine. Goes outside, does whatever, comes right back in. Okay, well, now he's basically ready to tell me all about myself,
Yeah.
I just let him sit down and say his thing, and then I just give him my reasoning or whatever the case is, and say, well, it's okay if you don't love the things that I ask you to do all the time. Tristan's very big on, if you made him do the dishes one time, he learned how to do it. So he shouldn't ever have to do it again, because he already knows how to do it and he doesn't like it. And he's going to have to do lots of dishes when he's an adult. So why
Correct.
should he have to do it again? That's how his mind works.
Okay.
Prime example the other day. He asked to have the bigger room upstairs. We said yes, because Misty's now gone.
Yeah.
I have encouraged for that job to get over with, so that I can stop driving my wife crazy, so that's not the topic while I'm on the road all day, that it's cluttered and undone. So they go and do everything that they're doing, and now all of a sudden he doesn't want the matching beautiful bed frame, dresser, end table, all that, because there's a little nook type area up there, and he wants his bed completely in there, enclosed, so he can put up a curtain and put his TV in there, so he feels like he's in a nest. And I said, well, I tell you what, if we do get rid of the bed frame and all that, the rest of it that goes with it, since I paid for it, is going to go online for sale together, so that I don't just lose out on what I paid for. And she's trying to explain this to him, and he's like, yeah, but can't you just let me go through the experience and learn that maybe down the road I would have wished that I didn't get rid of it? And I'm just like, this kid is the master negotiator.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, and his friend was over, and Raiden was like, well, Jamal's cool. He's like, I'm sure she's not going to care if you don't want the bed frame. And he said in his mind, he was literally like, I don't know, this is all one big set, and my mom really likes it, and she's probably going to want me to use it, because they know that my purpose right now is, like, literally before this winter, I want all of our junk gone, John. Like, I want all the clutter out of the house. I want to have yard sales, just give it away if we have to, just whatever the case is. I want just everything that is in our home to have a space. And if it doesn't live here anymore. Right.
Yeah,
like that's my goal.
Yep.
So Tristan, I'm like, honey, so now you've just created another piece of furniture that I either have to sell or give away or keep until you decide you want it again. I'm like, could you please just turn your bed the long way and put it in that little nook with some of it hanging out at the bottom, and compromise with me? And he's like, no, I want my whole bed right in that little, so Lonnie's like, oh my goodness. So he feels, and I really want your opinion on this, because it kind of got us into a little fight, because he's like, this is where you give them way too much voice. You need to just tell him, just use the damn bed frame and put it in your room and do what I said. And he's like, they
Or
feel like
get rid
they
of the
have,
wall.
or get rid of the whole thing and he can buy his own dresser because he has a job. And he's like, I feel like you give them too many, you allow him to do these types of things and have a choice where, you know, that shouldn't be something that's so easy for him to do. And I kind of feel like, you know what? I let him talk to me about it. I was annoyed. I told him I would rather him have it in his room. I told him I was going to discuss options with Lonnie. We're going to propose those to him. His solution is simply that he's like, well, just sell the bed frame, Mom. And, you know, in a couple years, maybe when I move out on my own or whatever, I might be sad that I don't have it then and I'll have to buy my own and I'll learn my lesson naturally. Can't we just do it that way? And we haven't really come up with a resolution yet for this. So we would love your opinion.
Well, this to me is one of those, I don't know that there's a wrong answer, but I don't know that there's a right answer.
Right.
And so now I'm putting myself in my shoes, in my own home, dealing with this.
And your dime's invested in whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would probably, my instinct is, I bought this for you and this is what you get. Now, if you want to rearrange it or do this or that, I don't care about that. And is this thing that you're talking about, because I'm a little lost in the story, is this thing that you would have to move out of the room for him to do what he wants? Is it a huge piece of furniture?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
In
It's
that
a
case,
sleigh bed. It's a giant, heavy sleigh bed frame that is gorgeous with a huge matching mirror, and huge, beautiful dresser, and it has a nightstand that goes with it, and it's all like mint condition. And he's just like, meh, I don't want this bed frame anymore. I'm like, what?
That's just too bad.
Let me give you a little backstory. We got the other child, Hayden, who wanted his room to be like a man cave. So he had a huge sectional leather couch in there that
in his room,
bed, desk, just a master suite. Okay, because that's how this kid is. He has to have the best of the best, right? So we allow him to do that. Eventually, he gets tired of that, and now he wants to downgrade from having all his homies over, and he wanted to make a bungalow for him and his girlfriend. And when he realized that that wasn't going to work out, and now he's a ladies' man, he just takes all the section of the sofa that he no longer needs and just puts them out in the hallway like yesterday's trash.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's like, yeah, I'm done with this.
Which is also contributing to my like stress of this clutter that's just all over the place randomly. Like, why is half of your sectional out in the hallway where people have to literally navigate around it? What is happening? What is it? And then they took everything out of Misty's room. I told Tristan, what I want you to do is empty out your room completely, get rid of the stuff that you don't want, empty out your room, and then move Aunt Misty stuff into your room so that we can use that for storage for now until she gets her storage unit. Okay, Mom, what does he do? Puts everything upstairs that was in Misty's room in the mud room, which is the first room you walk into in our house, and you literally can barely even walk out there because his room has so much stuff in it. He hasn't gone through it all yet. So my whole house, John, is very much in a disarray right now, and it's not a comfy feeling for me, and I don't like that.
Not to mention, every other week or two or month, my brother-in-law or my sister-in-law or my two children decide that there's something they don't want, and they take it outside and throw it out on the lawn. So now I've got.
I wish that was not true, but
every other couple months, I've got a whole trailer load to take to the dump because we don't need this no more. I don't want it.
And we're talking about like, you know, furniture. Like my brother's probably thrown away like five couches since he's lived here in the past.
Now, are they your couches?
No,
they're his couches.
Well, then he should. If he wants to get rid of them, why is he not taking them away?
Because Bobby is the type of guy.
Because we're his landlord.
Our two boys are trying to fashion themselves after in our home. he is the type of person that will never own his own home. He always wants to live somewhere where he pays top dollar so that he has people that do the things that he doesn't feel
It's
like
still
doing.
that still is irrelevant. It's his furniture. It's not the landlord's job to haul his crap away.
Well, you can't convince a person who thinks that at 20 something years old, he makes enough money to have servants.
Well, I would be like, okay, look, I am not your slave. If you
Mhm.
want to live here, you get rid of your own stuff. Otherwise, find another place to live.
Oh, I know.
Mhm.
Oh, I know. So, I mean, I didn't mean to murky up the already muddy waters, but this is the model, the mold, the blueprint that we find ourselves in.
And we're definitely a lot more on the same page with a lot of stuff. Like
Mhm.
Lonnie will be like sitting in the background, like clapping for me because I'll be like, you know what, Bobby? Do not talk to me like that, first of all, because Bobby's the type that he will, excuse my French, but he will literally come in my house and be like, "What's up, bitch?" And I'm like, "Really?"
Oh,
You know, yeah, boys are standing right there. He doesn't care.
Oh,
He just
man.
just talks to me any way he wants. I'm
I
like,
told Jamie if she slapped him clean smooth across the face one time, really
Yep.
good, he would
Yep.
stop doing that. But
Have
she
you
don't.
said something to him, Jamie?
"Oh gosh, yeah,
Well,
yeah."
then
Oh,
why does he still do it?
Joke though.
because he just doesn't take. This is our
Yeah.
overall consensus in our family is that Lonnie just feels like no one takes me seriously. And that's the problem. The biggest problem is no one, I'm just so laid back and so sweet, he always says, except to him, that
Well,
that I put up with a lot from everybody else and they just take me for a joke. Now,
I-
my brother Bobby, definitely, there's been 2 times where he's been totally out of line and I have literally put him in his place. And then he's been like, I mean, just last week, he knew I was super upset with him. He goes down to the store, buys me my favorite ice cream, and comes back with it. And he's like, "I'm sorry, I'm a jerk."
But he also needed a haircut though, John. So
He didn't get his haircut though.
no, he
Well,
didn't.
No, I told him to make an
I'm just
appointment with his
saying
own barber, and he
that was
did.
that was
Lonnie, I'm not so sure I wouldn't be in somebody's face and you call my wife that again, we're going to have a problem.
Well, we already have, but here's the thing, John. Just like Jamie was asking before, when do we know when to do this and to do that? I already know with my brother-in-law what that would turn into because Bobby has been set in his ways since he was 3 years old, and no one has challenged it enough to change that or correct it. So therefore, now as an adult right now, Bobby would assume just get his butt kicked and still look at you and say, "Well, I'm still going to be an a-hole, so whatever."
Then here's your eviction papers.
Oh yeah, I know, but that means I'm at war again. So
Yeah, but Jamie, would you have Lonnie's back if he got tired of the disrespect to you as well? And Lonnie said, "You're not going to respect our home and you're not going to respect my wife. You can go find somewhere else to live."
but she doesn't think it's that bad though. Like him talking to her like that, he hasn't violated her enough to feel like
It's not that bad. It's horrific. It's horrific.
Yeah, well, she said the word, "What's up?" What did you say he called you?
Bitch.
Well, that's not even his normal word for her.
Well, here's the thing, and he's saying it in front of the boys. He's disrespecting you, Jamie. Why would they respect you?
Oh, the boys know. Actually, John, seriously, Tristan said something one time to Bobby because he was irritated with the way he was talking to me. He literally was like, "Mom, I will never ever talk to you the way that Uncle Bobby talks to you." He said, "He's being so rude right now. I just can't even believe that he's talking to me."
What about Hayden?
He feels the same way. He definitely is like, you know what? It's harder with Hayden. He thinks Bobby is super cool.
And is
you know, but he doesn't talk to me that way. Hayden doesn't. Hayden would never call me a name or anything like that.
But will he
No.
call the next girl a name?
Hopefully not. Maybe he might call his girlfriend. I don't know. I mean, he's very, very respectful and good to his girl so far. But you know what's so funny about that too, John? Bobby is also like, he wouldn't call his girlfriend a name like that. It's only me. It's like his term of endearment is what he always says. Jane, I just do it because I love you and because we can
Well,
talk
love
to
me
each other like
differently.
that. Well, please, no, it isn't.
It's just so he can get his way when he wants to.
Yeah,
Bobby
just-
works things. He's
Oh,
a
manipulative little
I
thing.
call him
Aye.
Captain and for a reason.
Yeah, he's just something else.
Okay, well, let's go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because that gets me fired up. That mean,
That'll never.
That's probably not going to be something. I mean, now he is definitely. I told him the other day he's having a daughter. They found out that they're having a little girl. I don't know if you remember me talking,
Yeah.
us talking about that.
Mhm.
Well, I told him flat out, you need to get your language under control and the way you talk to me. Would you want somebody talking to your daughter the way you talk to me?
Yep.
And he's like, that's different. I'm like, no, it's
no,
not.
it's not.
It is not different. So I think his tune's going to be changing a little bit as he gets further along in this pregnancy and being a dad.
Put a lot of confidence into him.
Yeah. So, all right, let's review some stuff though, because I don't want to lose the real
Yes,
reason
our
why we're
momentum.
here.
'Cause I feel like we're doing good work today.
So, first thing that we've talked about was communication. And honestly, over communication is better than under communication. It's annoying, it's frustrating, but do it. Because
You're talking about with each other, not with Hayden and
with
Tristan.
each other in the discipline, here's what happened. I just told him to put the linens up.
See, honey?
And Jamie, same thing. If you're in Lonnie's position, you let Lonnie know. I just told him to do this, and he did not. Now, in that scenario, you can either trust each other enough to set forth the discipline then and there, or tell Hayden when whichever one is not home yet, when we talk, we will let you know what your discipline is for not obeying what you were told. The only issue with that is if it's a long time, it kind of loses its luster. So that's something you guys will have to work on. But anyway, regardless, communication is going to have to be a must so we don't have miscommunication. And then you guys are at each other for something that is not even a realistic scenario. Because what Jamie told Hayden was perfectly legit in her context.
It was.
Lonnie getting upset was perfectly legit and being upset in his context.
But here's the other thing, John. When Jamie and I have a conversation because of anything, regardless, if I doled out a punishment or I had him do something or whatever, right? When she communicates with me, just like this last time, many, many times, she is already on the defense with me. As soon as she talks to me, she gives me a questionnaire as to what happened for the day. And I'm like, okay, so this is not out of the blue. Today, I actually spoke with Hayden, asked him to clean that closet and rearrange it, and I know why. But the way she communicates with me is that she's already on their defense. This last time she called me and she was like, so how things go with you and Hayden today? So, what was this? What was that? So, da-da-da-da-da. And then I tell her, I asked, is the closet clean? Because this is what I found out. Her response to me always provokes me to automatically be like, I should be on the defense right now. And I asked her the other day, I said, couldn't you have, because it became an issue between us, and I'm trying to explain to her what's going on, and that I wasn't in the wrong, nor did I treat him in any ill way. So I'm defending myself to my wife too much. She's automatically feeling like I told him to do something or gave him something to do that he shouldn't have had to do. And then after conversation, she's like, well, I did tell him, I said this and I said that. And I go, okay, but why did you call me while I'm at work and talk to me in a way like I did something wrong instead of asking me what happened and deciphering for yourself, okay, there's really nothing wrong with that. That and the fact that her responses to me set me off. I asked Aiden to clean that closet and this, that. Yeah, well, I told him, don't worry about it for now because I want to go through there and I want to weed out all the stuff that I don't want anymore. After spending a half an hour explaining to me how upset she is and how like discouraged she is because there's too much clutter around here. And I'm thinking to myself, him rearranging that, making it a whole lot easier for you to go through since, John, if you had before and after pictures, I don't know how well you keep your house up or how well you like your house kept up, but this literally looked like somebody picked that closet up and shook it like they were playing Yahtzee and then rolled everything out of it. And I am not joking, to the point where stuff was wound around. We have, I admit, Jamie's right. There's 100,000 blankets and sheets and towels and everything up there, but it's all, I mean, if you opened up the door, it would literally roll out of there from the ceiling of the closet and around the corner and down the stairs.
Yeah, and I totally understand.
So
that.
for me, I'm like, that only made your job, would have made your job easier. You just expressed to me and made me as your husband have concern, compassion, and care for how much you have anxiety right now over clutter in our home. You want stuff sold, you want things cleaned up. And this is your main topic that you are getting to, that you feel like I asked him to do something that isn't necessary right now because this is something that you're going to take care of in your time.
But John, I'm gonna say something. I hope you don't get upset with this, Lonnie. I never said, yeah, well.
Yes.
No, I did not. I never say that. You always say I do, but I don't say, yeah, well, blah, blah, blah. I don't talk to you that way when we're in a serious conversation.
I told him that I want to go through there and weed some stuff out, so I told him it's not necessary right now. And you were done with that. And that's where I got upset. And if you remember correctly, we lost communication. I hung up the phone. I told you I didn't want to argue with you anymore.
Yeah, I remember the whole conversation.
So it wasn't an argument because you were immediately trying to defend the fact that I asked him to do something and now
That's the way that you took it, honey, but I didn't even know the context until after you told me, just like we talked about already, that I did not have any intentions. You were on the defense. Not me. You were on the defense thinking that I was just defending Aiden.
I said I was
really,
I'm the one I know. Where we said I was on the defense.
Right.
Because I was being interrogated and also told that for me to be not happy about the situation, not being rectified and taken care of because you handled it and you asked them to do something else.
And I explained to you that it wasn't even that way. It wasn't meant to undermine you in any way. I didn't realize the context and I corrected it with Aiden and he did clean the closet the way you asked him
to.
Yeah, but not until after we had the discussion and you said, you asked me flat out, well, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to tell him to clean the closet anyways then? That's exactly what you said.
What did you answer with?
I answered with absolutely.
And then Jamie, what happened after that?
And then I told him he had to clean the closet.
And then what happened?
And I apologized and said I did not mean to undermine you in any way. I didn't realize the context of what happened at first.
Now, let's think about this. Think about what we just talked about. If we have the rules in place, like we've talked about, putting up even more strict boundaries as in, Hayden, before you do anything else, get that closet cleaned up. Text Jamie. Jamie, Hayden left a mess, had towels everywhere. I told him to clean it up before he does anything else. That simple extra step would have prevented everything you guys just went back and forth about.
Right.
And I say that because I just heard two spouses going back and forth, not hateful, but in a little bit of a spat over something that could have been corrected long before it ever happened. I call it future proofing. And
Mhm.
then let's say Hayden didn't do it and Hayden got in trouble. And in this particular scenario, Lonnie says, give me your phone for the next 4 hours. And if that runs over the time he's supposed to turn it in, then it delays till the next day. I just took his phone because he didn't do what I said.
Mhm.
Problem solved.
Well, honey, how long have you had Hayden's phone now?
I've had Hayden's phone now for about, what was it, 4 days? 5
How
days?
long?
4 or 5 days.
Okay.
Because I specifically told him, I don't remember all of the details, but he didn't do what I asked him to do, gave me attitude, was literally on his phone and ignoring me. And I said, okay, well, fine. And this was after several things. I said, okay, fine. Well, please do me a favor and go get me your phone. And you will get it back when I start seeing that you do what you're asked to do when you're asked to do it, and you don't argue, and you continue to progress like you were doing. And I haven't seen that yet.
Okay.
Enough to give it back to him.
Making him earn it back.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep. Okay. Well, so communication. I want to make sure that we get this kind of in review before we run out of time. Communication, over communication. It will get annoying. I don't like over communicating, but I am an over communicator. I constantly, as a matter of fact, my daughter's high school basketball coach made a joke about it in a banquet. She was like, if you guys have any question, don't hesitate to email me. John Hilton sure does. And I mean, she dug at me because I over communicate. That I hope will solve some of the issues of you guys being on the wrong page. You're trying to be on the right page. You're just not. So we got to up the ante here and start communicating more. So it's going to be annoying, I'm telling you now. But, Lonnie can text Jamie. Jamie can text Lonnie. If anything is happening, that could cause any type of issue. So that's number one. We talked about diligent discipline, none of this half-baked stuff. And then there was
I like that term.
and then we talked about no more negotiating, no more back and forth when it comes to things like get the dishes done, wipe off the table, put the linens back in the closet. When you're giving quote unquote orders or commands, these are non-negotiables. You're going to do it whether you do it now or later. If you choose later, you're being disciplined. If you do it now, things are going to go much smoother. You get to choose, guys. You get to choose whether you're going to get disciplined or you're going to make things smooth. When I tell you to do something, it's immediate. And if you don't, I take your stuff. You choose. Now they know. Then Jamie, let's just use the scenario. Jamie has no reason to question Lonnie because the rules are set. Hayden was told this. Hayden didn't do it. Now I've got his phone. Now I've canceled his friends coming over tonight. Likewise, Lonnie can't get mad at Jamie because Jamie said, do this, Tristan or Hayden, and they delayed and went and did other stuff first. You guys know what the rules are. Now the discipline part of it, you guys will have to talk about how you want to handle that, whether it's immediate or talk about it together. But if I understand it correctly, if Jamie's not at work, you can call Lonnie while he's working. Is that right, Lonnie?
Yep, he sure can. He just
okay. So there's really no excuse to not communicate in that scenario. I'm not a fan of, especially with younger kids. He was 3 at the time, little Zach. I said, and his mom was standing there. Now his mom is so passive, she didn't care whether he did what he was told or not, which is why the kids were so out of control for a while. I told little Zach, put his shoes on. His mom's standing right there. He said, I don't want to put my shoes on. And she just stood there. I looked at this 3-year-old and I said, I didn't ask if you wanted to put your shoes on. Put them on now. He went straight to his shoes and put them on.
Mhm.
What I hear a lot of parents do, well, you need to go get your shoes. I don't want to, but we're going to be leaving. So you need, no, I don't want to.
Yeah.
But we're leaving. You've got to go put, I don't want to put them on. No, no, sir.
That I'm not that type of parent, right, Lonnie?
Not now because they're not.
When they were little though, like I don't put up with like tantrums and they know you do not tell me no. You don't just say I don't want to.
Mhm.
If I put your shoes on, you put your shoes on. That's it. We're not, this isn't, that stuff. And actually, because I work with kids every single day, that stuff really does drive me crazy because I
Yep.
see young kids that are 6, 7 years old telling their parents basically they're the boss. And I'm like, oh no,
Oh, yeah.
I would not put up that one
Yeah,
second.
dances on my last
Oh,
nerve.
me too.
And let me tell you what happened though. Lonnie, were you talking? I can barely hear you.
Yeah,
He
I
just said that gets on his last
I said
nerve.
it tap dances on my last nerve.
Oh, yeah. I like that term, tap dancing. Well, not long after that, little Zach was in my office and they were about to leave. And I said, go get your shoes. And he goes, no. And he stopped. The word no almost came out of his mouth. And he stopped, went and got his shoes, got up in my office chair, and I helped him put them on. It took that one time for him to tell me I don't want to. And you know what? You can ask Tanya. Those kids do exactly what I tell them to do to this day. I'm training them in the way they should go. And they know not to buck Papa John because I don't play. And guess who they obey more than anybody else in this family? Me. I don't point that out to anybody, but I literally just heard the kids, one of the boys, tell his own dad, no. Because he said, go do this. He said, no. And he said it 3 times. I'm like, no. Now, I'm going to give you one more quick story, and this is actually kind of funny. It's the same scenario. This is when my late wife was still here. Her grandson and granddaughter were over. The boy was Chase. He was probably 5 years old-ish, somewhere in that ballpark.
Uh-huh.
He threw something on the floor. I think it was the remote to the TV, and it had a shelf that it went on. I said, pick it up. And he looked at me like, I'm not doing anything. I said, pick up the remote. And he looked at me like, you can't make me. I told him one more time. You know what I did? I'm not joking. I picked him up by his ankles, held him upside down, right above the remote, and would not let him down until he grabbed that remote. I bet you it was a full minute. I'm sitting there like this, holding him upside down. I had vision then too. And that's it. He couldn't do anything. Guess what he did? He picked up the remote, and then I set him down gently and I said, now put it on that shelf. He does it. The next morning, because they spent the night, he was in my bedroom. It's another shoe story. I said, get your shoes on. He starts to walk away from the shoes and stops like after one step, looks up at me with this fear. Made a U-turn, sat down, put those shoes on. That's why I say, and I think Tanya doesn't like it, but it works. I don't play these games. We're not going to tap dance, Lonnie. I couldn't hear him.
He said, yeah, he's the same way. Doodle, our little nephew, his name is Grayson, but we call him Doodle. He is like 2-ish. He just turned 2 probably a few months ago. And he was sitting on the couch and he got really mean with his mom. He was just like, no, and just really super, and Lonnie looked at him and he was like, you do not talk to your mommy like that. You tell her you're sorry right now. And he was like, just lost his mind, But
Yeah.
he is in love with Lonnie. And
Yeah.
he is so nice to Lonnie, to Ashley now when Lonnie's around. He literally will start giving her a little attitude, and then he turns around and looks at Uncle Lonnie like, "Uh-oh, Uncle Lonnie's gonna yell at me if I am
Yeah.
mean to my mom," you know?
Well, hey, we had little Rose here. She's 6. She wouldn't get up for church on Sunday. She was laying on the couch whining to Tanya. Get up, Rose. We got to get ready. I walked in there. I said, Rose, get up. And she whined. I said, don't you start it. Well, we're about ready to walk out the door, and she's back on the couch whining again. I said, Rose, let's go now. Well, we get to the church, right? We're walking across the parking lot. If you guys knew Rose, you know why this is so funny. Tanya said, she's ticked off. I said, why is she ticked off? Because you yelled at her. I said, I don't care. Let her be ticked off. I said, and I said this where Rose could hear me. I said, if she would do what she's told, she wouldn't get yelled at. Problem solved. And I left it at that. And you know what? Rose behaved the best she ever has in church. After church was over, I said, Rose, come here. And I grabbed her arm. I said, you did a great job today. I'm very proud of you. She looked up at Tanya like, what did he just say? Like it meant something to her, and it made her just as happy as can be. So the balance there is don't put up with it, but when they do something well, you also give them encouragement that gets them to want to continue to listen. So now I'm gonna ask you guys a question. What would it look like to you guys if you guys were so much on the same page that Lonnie speaks, Jamie's fully on board and supports Lonnie to where it takes pressure off of Lonnie? Pressure off of Lonnie, and also kind of establishes an authority demeanor in Lonnie. Lonnie speaks, it either gets done, or you both are so far much on the same page that you automatically know what's coming up in the discipline realm. What would your house look like in that scenario for you guys?
I think he's asking both of us, but
I am. I'm asking both of you.
I don't even know.
I know.
It would look like it was in order, I guess.
Yes. I know one thing. My nerves wouldn't be so rattled.
Okay.
I would feel a lot more relaxed, a lot more calm, and a lot like I would have a lot more time to focus on doing good things and having more fun with my family than constantly working on order.
Okay. Jamie, how do you think it'd feel to you?
It would be a wonderful peace of mind if I could, know that he's gonna lead in a way where is truly best for all of us in the family.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that really quick. Let me see what time it is. I have another one coming up. Okay, we have a few minutes. Let's just do a little summary here. I told you guys earlier that the soft intros are good. They're productive. However, they don't work by themselves. This scenario I just brought up to you guys is the same thing. It takes both of you working together for you guys to reach that goal of having a peace of mind, nerves that aren't shot. And personally, from my perspective, if you guys can implement this, you know what they say in college basketball, one and done. We say it gets done immediately, unless we say by 5 o'clock, I need you to have this done. Then otherwise you're getting a consequence. There's no more of this back and forth. And if you're both on the same page, it's, in my mind, it would be easier for Jamie to support Lonnie. It'd be easier for Lonnie to lead.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then now your unity bond is even stronger because you're on the same page. Because I I think about our conversations, and a lot of it, I'd say over half of it's simple miscommunication.
Mhm.
We talked about it today. So over communicate, be diligent. You guys outside of this need to get together and discuss strategies of how you guys can tighten this up. If you know, you can take my advice if you want to. Meet tonight. This is the way. We're not negotiating with you guys anymore. Here's the deal. Come up with your own. But then
Yeah, today is to be a day of church and productivity with the kids, so it'll be perfect opportunity to get this laid out.
okay, and then stick with it. Diligence. We talked about that. That means there's a less likelihood of discouragement of the kids because of provocation, because so much anger is being built up, and you're not sparing the rod, whether that's a guiding rod or a beat the crap out of them rod. Who cares? You're not sparing it, and that's because you love them. I
Right.
think, because see, to me, thinking about you guys on that level gives me peace. I can only imagine what it would do for you guys.
We'll try it, John. Let's do this, Lonnie. Right?
Oh, yeah, I'm at the starting line,
All right.
waiting for the flag.
All right. All
Well,
right. Thank you
so-
so much, John.
You're welcome. So auto consequence. It's non-negotiable. Tell me what you guys are going to lay out. If you agree with me, that's fine, but I want to hear your all's response before we shut this down. Like,
Yep, it's gonna be when we ask you to do something, you do it right then and there, unless we give you a specific time frame. If that doesn't happen, then you have to earn an extra consequence, or you get a privilege taken away, or both.
so there's a consequence that
And
you
we're
have
gonna
to earn back.
Yep, and we're
And-
gonna be completely overly communicative about every decision we're making with the kids specifically.
Got it.
If I want Tristan to sweep the floor, or I want this, or he wants to do this, we're going to talk about it, everything. And I think it would be a good plan for now, just until we really build that skill together. It probably would be best if we just simply say to the kids, unless it's something as simple as just give me your phone for a couple hours or something, then that's no big deal. But like if it's something big that needs a big consequence, I think we should talk about it together.
What do you think, Lonnie?
Perfect.
Perfect. All right. I think also this gives you guys a peace of mind, because and I know we've talked about this before. I'm just wanting to hammer the point home. Aubrey and Rose 3 or 4 years ago, they were like 6 and 3 years old, 7 and 3, whatever it was. And one of those children, they don't like to behave very well. They're, demanding. They want this and want that. They throw a fit. And I had a chat with them. I said, look, guys, Nana's taking you to Walmart. You walk with her. Don't be asking for toys. Don't be wanting candy. Walk with Nana. Let her get what she wants. And do not cause her any trouble. I do not want to hear you guys gave her trouble at Walmart. Do you understand me? And both of them said yes. Tanya takes them to Walmart, comes home, and says, the girls wanted me to let you know how well they behaved. What's my point? Laid the groundwork so they knew what to expect. It's hard to get mad at somebody when they don't know what the expectations are. They knew I was going to be upset with them if they didn't behave. How does that relate to this? You guys are going to have the peace of mind of knowing beforehand, if they don't do what they're told, and that goes for Jamie too. Lonnie's not the only one that tells them what to do. Jamie, you don't do what we say to do immediately, there's an automatic consequence. And if they get mad at it, brush it off your shoulders and say, hey, you were warned, and just let it go. Let them be mad. Let them run to the room and pout. Hey, you were warned. You knew it was coming. It's your fault. I'm not, why are you so upset? You're the one that chose that. And that's going to eliminate all this back and forth, all this negotiation. They might say, well, can I do it after? The answer is like, what's the rule? To do it immediately. Okay, there's your answer. Why are you asking me something you already know?
Right.
And the more you do that, the more they get used to it, it should start to smooth out, or you guys are going to have to come up with even more consequences because you're going to run out of them. I just think
Right.
that's going to give you guys a peace of mind. I really do. But, you know, just whatever. You chose that path, not me.
Exactly.
And you know what? I told you guys that I can be hard on the grandkids. I don't get upset about that. We took them to the movie Tuesday night. Out of the blue, the 3-year-old leans over and says something to me. And I said, "What'd you say?" He said, "I love you, Papa John." The 3-year-old, "I love you, Papa John."
Mm-hmm.
3 times in the last 2 days. Little Zach looks at me and says exactly this. You talking about melting. "I love my Papa John." 3 times in 2 days he said this. "I love my Papa John." And I'm harder on him than anybody.
Yeah.
What
That's
does
how
that
Doodle-
tell you?
That's how Doodle is. That kid, anytime they come down here, he automatically, unless he's extremely tired and his mom's right there, he wants to be with me right there on the couch, in the chair, watching TV, hanging out. This is the way he is.
Yeah.
And I don't play. When he gets on the stairs or whatever, I'll tell him, you need to sit down on your bottom.
Yep.
And he'll try and look at me, and well, he used to, until he learned that I'm not going for that.
That's right.
And I will actually get up out of the chair and go over there and take him down if he doesn't listen.
Yep. Isn't it amazing that I'm the harder one? And their dad's pretty hard on them too, but I think our approach is different. And when we came up from downstairs and their dad took a half a day off, we came up the steps. Dad's here. And Zach still wanted to stick around with me to tickle him. And it was just like, you know, I'm pretty tough on them. I do not let them buy with anything, but I have set the precedence that that's the way I roll. And if you don't listen, you will get in trouble. I don't have that much trouble with them anymore. Zach, you know, little Parker's 3 years old. He makes the Energizer Bunny look like a quadriplegic. Just be honest with you. But outside of him just being a typical rambunctious hyper kid, he still listens for the most part. And you know what? It's not too late to get started with these boys either, especially when you lay the ground rules tonight. Any last comments or feedback? Because I know I'm rambling.
I don't think so. Thank you so much.
You guys good?
Yep.
All of us are on the same page?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, make your own dang sandwich. I was telling Tanya about that. I think it was Tanya I was talking. I said, it's so hilarious. What's up, bro? You go make your own sandwich, man. What's up with you?
Oh, man.
Lonnie provided some great stuff that night. It was awesome.
I told you I'm a nut.
I love it. I absolutely love it. That Monday night group is like a big family. It really, truly is.
Yeah, it is.
So
Oh man.
I'm hoping I can be ready for Monday night in the spiritual warfare stuff, because I am, when the kids are here, I get delayed in everything. So I am. So we'll see how it goes. But anyway, Lonnie, you okay, man? You're still a little bit quiet.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All right. Well, you guys over communicate and get ready for tonight and pray together. I would encourage that as well before you approach it. And like I said, take some pressure off of you, and this is the way it's going to be, and that's it.
Alrighty, we will. Thank
right.
you.
Keep me
Thanks,
updated,
guys.
please.
I will.
All right, guys.
All right. Bye.
Bye.